Hey, thank you so much for being here. Venkatapia again. I'm an actor slash producer and the founder of Actor Slash, and I'm very excited to be here today because we have this amazing event where we're going to be talking about voiceover. And I invited four amazing international, multiple lingual voiceover talents who are dear friends to me and who I just have the privilege to know and to admire and to follow. So I'm going to start with introducing them. And I need you guys to help me clap virtually. Since we have shared already this event in several accounts and walls, make sure you're watching us from Actors Slash fan page so we can read your comments and we can also address any questions that you may have. And also show the love, share your support, and like this video, this live event. Share with your friends if you want. Tell us where you are connecting, where are you watching us from? So the first person I'm going to bring in is a friend who's not a stranger to Actors Slash. He's actually been in this panel. Probably this is his first time. So he's a great actor slash director slash producer slash voiceover talent slash writer. And he's a slash friend. Give it up to Anwar H. Smain. Justin is right there. Help me clap. Yay, Anwar!
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Van. I'm so honored to be back on one of your beautiful panels, and I'm just delighted to be with such talented, actors and actresses, directors, producers, writers, slash everything, friends. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for bringing me back, dear
So
Van.
happy that you are here.
Thank you so much.
Is this the first time you joined me in one of these panels?
I believe we did probably 4 or 5 panels, I believe.
Right.
And that's not including the ones that we did at in Tijuana, in Mexico.
Short and sweet as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, there you go.
Really an actor slasher. Oh my God.
That's right. It's been years and it's lovely.
Join me to introduce my next guest. She is a German lady. She's amazing. She's a dear friend. She is one of the original Actor Slashers who I got inspired to create Actor Slash. Nice. Because we used to host together for the Travel Channel Online of Discover America for Brand USA. And we were actors slash hosts slash writers slash producers. And that's how I came up with the idea that we should do something about actors. So please join me to welcome actors slash voiceover artist slash producer, Kathleen Hanna.
Welcome, Catherine.
Hi, thank you so much, Van and Anwar, for the warm welcome. Again, my name is Kathleen Hanna. I'm originally from Germany, lived in New York for a very long time, and now I live in LA and love connecting with fellow voiceover artists and learning from you and sharing with you what I may contribute to whoever is willing to get into voiceover. So thank you so much. This is my first Actor Slash panel and I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much.
She was going to be my host in March. With Anwar, actually, I think. And we have to postpone and cancel it in the end.
Yeah.
So help me welcome Pablo Azar. He's a Mexican friend. He's actually been a panelist like last year, and this is the second time this year. He's an amazing actor slash producer and voiceover talent, of course, an illustrator. You'll see why I'm saying this. Please welcome Mexican actor Pablo Azar.
Yay! Hello again. Such a pleasure to be with you again, Banque.
Thank you for being here, Pablito.
Yes, it's always great. It's always
Señor Tuni.
Senor Tuni also. Yeah, that's my artistic name for my art. I'm still Pablo for my acting.
For the buddies, for the friends, for the amigos.
For the amigos, I'm Pablo for the amigos.
We're 4. Let's bring in our last guest. He's a Quebecois talent, French-Canadian, trilingual for lingual. He surprised me that he speaks Spanish too. He's an actor slash voiceover talent slash producer and writer and painter. Please welcome Sylvain Latendresse. Sylvain, the first time he's here.
Hi, everybody. Well,
hello.
Thank you for the invitation, Lanji. Thank you.
you.
Great to see you all.
Good to see you as
So
well.
excited that you're here finally because
Yeah.
I think we became friends on Facebook, but I didn't even know how we ended up being
What was
friends. We just have a bunch of friends in common.
what was that guy? I don't remember.
Okay, so now everybody's here. We already have a lot of claps and a lot of cheering, a lot of people saying hi. Please, again, show your love, like this video, share it, and ask your questions, and tell us where are you connecting and watching us from. Before we start on anything, did you guys start as a voiceover talent or actors first? I want to know, what was your inclusion? How did you guys start in this business, noir?
Yeah, well, actually, I think for me, they both came together. I mean, I started as both a voiceover, I mean, voice, I would say, and a voice actor and an actor, as a kid, because I was always, that little kid, trying to make, my parents, first of all, laugh, because I was trying to get their attention, and of course, with time, you know what I mean, I kept on playing with my voice, imitating all kinds of characters, from TV and movies and so on and so forth. And little by little, clearly, I got into acting. And when I tried voice acting, for the first time, I found it to be so fascinating because you're not expressing, let's say, the life or the circumstances of a character through facial emotions and so on. I mean, you do it, for yourself maybe, but you have to express such emotions and such, feelings through your voice. So I started as an actor, then, voice acting followed. That's how it was for me.
Okay, so it came together in your case.
Correct. Absolutely. I think it's a matter of wanting to have fun with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wanting to have fun with, switching back and forth between, physical acting and voice acting, and you just start enjoying it. And,
And you started as a child, right?
I started as a child, indeed. I was 9. I started in a feature film titled Cri de Pierre. And, I had the small part. It wasn't really a big part or anything like that, but it was really fascinating to me, you know what I mean, to be able to face the camera and a full crew, behind that camera and acting like, I was alone somewhere, and then, of course, there was a disconnect because I had to go to school and do all kinds of other things. But with time, that passion actually, called upon me again, and I had to follow my heart, and here I am.
Because you grew up you were born in Algeria, but then you moved
Yes,
to Paris.
yes, absolutely. I was
Paris.
actually born in
Then New
Algiers.
York, was that New York?
No, not at all.
Directly
Actually,
to California? When
yeah.
you came to California?
Oh, let's see. I've been in LA for about 15 years. But before then, I lived in Michigan, actually. That's where I did most of my schooling. I came to the U.S. as a teenager, but I spent, my childhood both in Algiers, in the city of Constantine, and then in Paris. And then I came from there. Sure.
Because you speak four languages?
I speak, yeah, I mean, I clearly, I speak, Arabic, I speak French, I speak English, and I speak all kinds of North African dialects like Berber, and let's see, and I do all kinds of Middle Eastern also, dialects, and
Excellent, Anwar.
yeah.
How about you, Catherine?
I originally come from the theater. I also started relatively young. I was a teenager when I was in my school's drama club, if you will, and that always guided me, and I had also been exposed to a lot of theater, live theater. And then I do remember that as a kid I listened to these old vinyls with radio books or audiobooks, which I didn't even realize until much later that was already seeded in my childhood. But the way how I came to voiceover was that a fellow classmate in my acting class said to me that he was doing some voiceover and they were looking for some other German voice talent. This was in New York. So that was my first exposure. And it was actually a language learning program, a German language teaching program for a big company. And so that was sort of like my original exposure to doing voiceover, which was, super slow and you have to do vocabulary. And it was it was e-learning really. So yeah, my original exposure was being an actor that kind of transitioned into voiceovers by default, just because I speak German. And later on that transitioned into commercials, industrials, more e-learning. I did some jobs for tourism, for like MoMA or Ellis Island, for German-speaking tourists who come and, you know, get these headphones when they are visiting
Like
museums.
a tour guide,
Tour guide, exactly. And then eventually I got found by somebody because my name had been floating in that particular, I want to say, you know, talent pool of native German-speaking actors in New York. And some producer found me and auditioned me, and that became my first audiobook. And then, you know, I later on did my own audiobooks vis-a-vis ACX and all of those things that also you were kind enough to introduce me to, Vanhe, because, you know, it's like they say in business and also in particular in the entertainment industry, you know, it's all about relationships. You know, you make connections, and that person may know somebody else, and all of a sudden you have a whole new group of people who might have a job for you. You never know.
And so you are bilingual in German and English.
Mm-hmm.
You do both.
Mm-hmm.
And you do a lot of audiobooks. That I remember. In fact, you're the one who introduced me to do the audiobooks in Amazon.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a moment, but that was
okay.
You just keep doing those and those, like so many.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we were doing the videos, the travel videos,
Mm-hmm.
German was the one kind of language in tourism that the US wanted the most. It was the language where they created the most tourist videos. So sometimes they had to have 4 different hosts because they started with Heiko and then with Heike.
Yep.
And they were like, we have Heiko and Heike already in 2 different places of the US. So now let's send Catherine in. And they had like 4 or 5 different Germans traveling all over promoting the US. And it was just fantastic. It was just like in so much demand because Germans are so fascinated in the US. So
well, also Germans have a lot of vacation and disposable income for
true.
travel.
Europe has like, what is it, 6 weeks a year, or like tons. That's true. Well, very good. Pablo, ¿qué tal tú? How about you?
I'm great, thank you. Well, I definitely started as an actor. I was in Mexico. I'm originally from Mexico. Well, I was born in Mexico City, but I was actually raised in the south state called Chiapas, which is next to Guatemala. Yeah. When I moved to Mexico, I started working in television for TV Azteca, and I did a couple of TV shows for them. And I actually never did voice work in Mexico. But I was always fascinated. As you can see, I love cartoons. So I was always fascinated by the fact that giving voice to something that doesn't exist in real life. So that always intrigued me a lot. But I didn't have the chance to explore that part of me in Mexico. So my first opportunity came when I moved to Miami. I was actually working for Telemundo at the time. And a very friend of mine, an amazing voice actor, Raul Arrieta, he was working at Telemundo as a voice coach, told me, hey, you have a good voice. Have you tried voice
Voicing
jobs?
characters? You do more animation, right? Like characters, voicing like dubbing and.
I do animation, but I also do commercials. I also do audiobooks. I do a little bit of everything. Well, actually, my first job was a McDonald's commercial, I think. Because Raul Arrieta.
Mine was too.
Yeah, really? Well, there you go. That was my first opportunity.
Like everybody.
That was in Miami. And when I loved it, and I kept auditioning and doing voice work. And now that I moved to California, I've been doing also voice work. But I do love one of my favorite, as you can imagine, is dubbing or doing voices for cartoons or animated series or things like that.
That's fantastic. I'm very happy to hear. So how long have you been doing this, you would say?
My first voiceover job was, I believe, 2011. Yeah, so like 8-9 years. I started acting in 2002, so it was a long time until I got my first opportunity as a voice actor.
So you broke into TV series, and the type of TV series that you've done, a lot for South America, a lot of very successful in Brazil, in different countries, where you actually have to go and film there. And I'm talking about TV series that, like telenovelas, that will last for a year.
it's not like season 1 or season 2. It's like you just go 60 episodes or 120 episodes and you actually have to move to that country. And they have been dubbed in dozens of languages, those shows.
Yeah.
Did you have to learn, like, for instance, do you speak Portuguese or
No,
have to learn?
no, I actually I started learning a little bit of German, but it's not like I speak German. I just know some words in German, and then I learned a little bit of Russian.
Guten Tag.
But yeah,
My name is
just a
Vane.
tag. But mostly it's English and Spanish. Most of the voiceover work that I do is at least was in Spanish. Now I've been doing a lot in English as well. But especially because in Miami, I was living in Miami. I lived in Miami for almost 10 years. Most of the voiceover work that you find is in Spanish.
So right now you're kind of combining both, because now that we are in a pandemic and most of the work is happening remotely, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. It's a challenge because even though I've been doing a lot of voiceover work, I was not used to the fact that, like, I just finished doing a dubbing for a Netflix TV show, a series, and I did it entirely from home. So I actually had to build the studio at home, but I didn't really know how to because I'm not an expert on audio stuff or how the mics work or how to set up a studio. I was not an expert at all. So it was a challenge for me to adapt. And, I've been doing my best to adapt to the new normal and learn to work from home.
Well, actually, I'm going to have to bring that one to the next one, like working from home, but let's just skip that and go with Sylvain. How did you start?
For voice acting, and I started here in Los Angeles. I have a long story. So my background is in visual art. And a long time ago, when I was a teenager, I was very close to become an actor and go to studying acting. And suddenly I switched. I went to study fine arts. And my teacher, painter teacher, the one who taught me painting, we became friends with years. And at the end of his life, he was losing his sight. So for like 3 years, each weekend, I was knocking at his door and we were drinking a coffee, taking a croissant. And I was opening a book of his choice. And I was reading for an hour and a half, just to give him, a little bit of life and to share a great moment. So that, in fact, it was my first contact with voiceover without knowing it practically. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I worked in a film festival in Montreal for several years.
As an assistant producer, right? I was reading.
I was assistant director of the Montreal International Film Market. So it's a film market that belonged to the Montreal World Film Festival that at that period was very famous. Unfortunately, this festival doesn't exist anymore. So, and I've met my wife that was traveling in Montreal, and she was living here in Los Angeles. So I came over here in 2008, and it was the strike of the screenwriters. My wife is a screenwriter. And the economy was crashing over here. So all my background in visual art, in art galleries and museums, it didn't help me at all. And the funny part is my wife doesn't speak a lot of French. She's better in Spanish.
Where is she from?
Oh, she's American, but her father is from Colombia.
Ah, okay. That's why you surprised me with your Spanish.
That's another story. And so she suggested me, oh, we're going to do something with your voice. And I was really like, no, don't be silly. We won't. Yes, we're going to do something. He said, no! And finally, we did something. And we went to create a demo. And I was helped at that period with a great actress and voice actress. Her name is Karen Strassman. And she's also a dialect coach. And from there, we did something in French, demo. And I started to get gigs and jobs here in LA. So, and doing both accents, means French-Canadian accent and also neutral French that is closer to Parisians French. And so, yeah, I started to do some dubbing at first. And gradually I got, other things. I got And finally, I got an agent here in LA. And since then, so I love that. And I noticed, of course, that the better or the best voice actors and actresses usually as base are actors. So on my late career, I decided to go back to school with Howard Fine, great guy. He's following in Uta Hagen method. And I went to his studio to follow the basic of acting. And it was funny because, I was already over 50. And with all those young people coming there, and they, of course, they want to become a star. And I was just there, to learn a craft. So it was very funny. I loved it.
Well, that's an amazing story. So that shows that it's never too late to start anything. That's fantastic.
Yeah, well, mostly now, I think, age, mostly in voice acting, age doesn't count. It's like you can do, all kind of voices, and most often younger than you are. So, and it opened doors, and for women, for men too. Yeah.
Was
and
it
that was really
hard for you to get an agent? For you guys, anyone? Did you have trouble finding an agent? Do you still have an agent? You still looking?
Oh yeah.
Or do you get? How do you get your jobs or your casting?
Well, for myself, I have agents. So I have several agents through US to cover the territory. I have my main agent here at DPN. That's one of the very good voice acting agency. And recently, finally, I got an agent also in Montreal. So that I was very happy because usually in they were more asking that the talent lives in town, so to be there. And in fact, COVID changed everything. And all my colleagues now, we have home studios. So from there, open also doors that we didn't imagine before.
How about you, Anwar? Was it hard for you to find an agent, or do you have an agent?
Sure, I actually do have an agent, but quite frankly, it wasn't easy to find one. Or I should say, maybe it's not that easy to find one that would send you out or to audition, or that would get you auditions, because there are lots of things that go into play when it comes to being on someone's roster. But after a while, clearly, I was able to get an agent through a referral. And ever since, clearly, I get my gigs through either my agent or my manager, because I also have one, or also by or through different connections and friends that are in the industry. What Catherine was saying earlier with regards to being part of this industry, let's say voice acting, for a while, people start knowing your name, and kind of like knowing the kind of like work you do, the kind of quality, you bring to, let's say, a specific character that you have to voice and so on, and they pass your name around, and they refer you and they talk about you and this and that, and next thing you're called by the different let's say casting directors, or and that's how you end up getting gigs. But it is, I think, it is a little challenging to find an agent that would really send you out there or get you auditions.
How hard is it? Like I can see right now a couple of people who sign up who would love to know how to know or learn about auditions. And of course, having an agent it helps a lot. I also, when I started, I didn't have any agent, and I just Google which are the top 20 agents, and I sent my demo. I found their emails, and I sent my demo to 10 of them, and 3 of them replied to me. But because my voice is very raspy or very weird, and someone said, I don't have a voice like you. And the one that I started with, I didn't book anything for 3 months. We did a trial. It was Ilko from well, he moved later on to AVO Talent, who I'm with right now. But he was with another agency, and he's like, okay, I don't know what's going on. And then once I moved to the other agency, my very first audition, I booked it. So it's also luck, I guess.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of things that you can find out there that not necessarily happen to an agent. I mean,
Yeah, well, the first tool is to get a demo.
yeah,
That's, it's the card that you show to people. And you need to find a good producer to create a very professional demo because you want to be recognized as a professional voice actor.
yeah,
So, and when you have your demo, you can run after agencies. That's the point. Of course, after that, you have also what we call now a P2P website, like voices.com. But still, you still need a demo from this.
yeah.
But
A little sample. It doesn't have to be like Catherine. You do a lot of people think that working actors only do commercials or video games or anything that is commercial, like big movies and things like that. And there's so much work that it's also behind the scenes, like answering a phone call or do industrial, what we call. Maybe a lot of work in one of those welcome videos for a company, like when you start working in a certain company, I forgot how to call them, induction videos. You do a lot of those. You are the voice of a lot of things. You've done a lot of audiobooks. You want to talk about that? Where else we can find work and how you move yourself?
Sure, but I just wanted to piggyback on the conversation you guys just had about auditioning and finding an agent and things like that. I think it was, I forget who said it before, but it was all about changing the changes that we've experienced due to COVID, because a lot of the work now is being done from home. And it is really, really, really important that if we want to be, marketable and, able to book jobs, our home studio has to be of a certain caliber. So the quality of sound that we provide in our auditions and eventually in our bookings, has to be of a certain professionalism. And so it's really on us, the talent, to learn how to, do whatever we need to do in our homes to create a space that can provide that audio quality. And I'm taking as many classes as I can, whether I find them on Facebook or through emails that I have signed up to different coaches or people like that. And some of them are free webinars on Facebook where you can learn what to look out for. And there are Facebook groups about like how to build a booth on your own. So you don't have to think about, oh my gosh, I don't have $3,000 to $5,000 for a whisper room or whatever, all those different booths that you can actually purchase. They're very expensive. And when you're starting out, that may not be in your budget. But I'm just trying to encourage people who want to get into voiceover to be aware of that, we need to learn these things. And sometimes it's overwhelming, or you feel like intimidated by the technology, or you're like, I don't know how to do that. Ask around and, have people who are already doing it, point you in the right direction. But to answer your question about audiobooks, I have, as I said, I was invited to my first audiobook. That producer found me, again, through word of mouth. And the reason why I got the job, it's again, what's your niche? And all of us are multi-language talent. So that is sort of like our, I want to say, extra magic potion that we can throw into the mix. I was found because it was an audiobook that had German words in it. It was called Hitler Youth, and it was actually a biographical or documentary style audiobook about former Hitler Youth now senior citizens that were interviewed by this author to share their experience of what it was like as a child when they were in Hitler Youth. And because of that, there were a lot of German names in it, locations and all of that. So that was really the reason why I got into it. And then later, when I got to LA and I was, trying to figure out what to do, I heard about ACX, and I don't remember who pointed me in that direction. It may have been somebody at Dion when you, Vanhe, and I were at an event at Dion, and somebody invited me or asked me if I do audiobooks on ACX, and I'm like, what's ACX? And somebody told me, and it's basically a subsidiary of, or connected to Audible, but it's connected to your Amazon account. It's a whole platform where authors can upload their scripts or their books, looking for an audiobook narrator, what's called a producer. And you can find all of these books that are available. There's thousands of them. And then you can narrow it down because there's different kinds of payment plans. I mean, like, how you get paid, it's either royalty share or it's paid per finished hour. And then you can really search, you can decide like, what kind of genre do I want to narrate? Do I want to do fiction or nonfiction? And you narrow it down and you put your filters on it. And then you get all of those books that fall into that category. And then you can audition from your home. And if you get the job, then you narrate it. And if you have people who can help you edit it or learn how to edit it, I mean, those are the things that I've learned how to do. And it's, of course, a learning curve. But at the end of the day, I've produced nearly 20 audiobooks from my house, which is not that much, to be honest, because there's people who have hundreds under their belts. But, those are just the ones that I've done through ACX. And then obviously there is big publishing companies like Random House, Tantor, and whatever the names are, and you can connect with them, you can write to them, you can search out who their casting department is, and the sky's the limit.
Yeah, so you see,
it's true that
it could be commercials, could be audiobooks, could be video games, could be dubbing, movies, animation.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people don't understand or realize how much audio work is actually being done. Yeah. And, think of Siri, the woman who did Siri, that was a tiny little seed, like how many years ago? And now so many things are, voice activated, and there's like, all of these different, it's going to be more and more and more. There's e-learning now with COVID in particular. E-learning is huge.
But I think that is only for a while. Recently, they were talking that AI, or artificial intelligence, is going to get 25% of the market, and that's very soon.
That's true.
So that means there's a lot of jobs right now that we're able to do that they're going to disappear.
But you know what? I still believe that audiobooks would be less organic. I mean, certain things I can totally see AI taking over. But I think audiobooks, especially the audiobooks that are fiction, where you have different characters and there's a story like line. And I've had audiobooks where I had like 12 to 15 different characters, and, including different guys, so I have to really bring up my acting chops and bring that to life. I don't think AI is there yet, to be honest.
No.
Pablo, so how about you? What do you think about this? How do you get your agents, or how do you get your castings, your auditions, your sources?
Well, I was very lucky on the VO side because I had a very good friend of mine. When I came to LA, he introduced me to who is my agent now for voiceover for CESD. So one of the biggest agencies of voiceover in Los Angeles. And I auditioned for them, and they got me. They signed me. So I feel I was even more lucky than I was in the on camera, because for on camera to get an agent it's been so hard, and for VO it was pretty fast. So I feel blessed for that, and I started getting auditions from them. And it all comes down to being creative, I think. Like you were talking, yeah, Sylvain was talking about the demo reels, and truly, if you don't have a good demo reel, it's going to be more difficult. But a lot of actors think that for you to have a demo reel, you need to have work that you put into the demo reel, and it's not the case. My first demo reel, I called this person that I knew that he specializes in doing demo reels, and he gave me some commercials like in paper written, and we did those. It's not that I booked those commercials, he had
Reproduce
them there
them.
and I just did them, but I had never done anything, any voiceover job. So you got to be creative, and if you want to do audiobooks, you just grab a book, and the first thing you do is you record yourself reading the book, and you start sending those around. Now you have, well, besides the tools that all my colleagues have been talking about, you have Actors Access, and you have a casting network that I've been seeing a lot of voice jobs posted on those platforms.
Boys,
Um,
boys one to
you can
three.
send, yeah, you can send to producers. You can, there are so many ways now, especially to have voiceover. And it's true, there are some jobs that have been taken over by AI, but still, well, there is something that the artificial intelligence never going to be able to replace, which is the soul, the emotion, the personal touch that an actor can give to any job. So I think that's going to be for a long, long time. And yeah, it all comes down to being creative and never set up just for something small.
Yeah. So something that got my attention is I asked all of you to send me the setup that you have at home. I've been working on my closet, in my walk-in closet for 13 years, probably for the past 13 years. And I call it the closed studio. In fact, sometimes when I do interviews, they ask, can you please make pictures of your studio? And this is just amazing. And I'm like, well, I didn't invent it. It wasn't, someone told me about it and I did it, and it was a great option. And that's how I've been doing all my work from. Nowadays, as Catherine is saying, the demand is that we actors, most of us, the studios want to connect to our home-based studio if we have a professional equipment. So through Source Connect, a paid Source Connect probably. So this is what everybody shared. But it got my attention that in the case of Anwar, he used to have a room. He had a room where he used to do a special place where he's assigned to do his recordings. But he's been going through totally the opposite as us. That room has given to his wife, who is in the medical. She's one of our superheroes right now. And she took it now, so she gives consultations. And now all his recordings, he actually goes to studios in person. And I've done only 2 out in studios, but most of it, everything I do it from home. So all the way around. I want to share you the pictures of each of them. And then I want to talk to Anwar. I want you to share, and if you guys have something to share as well, if you've been in studios, what the new process is. They test for if we have to do the COVID test. You have a different pen. You sign up front the documents. You don't have to do anything right there. They have to change everything has to be sanitized, all the measurements that they are taking. And I'd like to talk about that. But here, let me share with you this studio right here, which belongs to is it yours?
It's me.
Catherine?
It's mine. Yeah, it's mine. And this is sort of like, you can see that on my desk, so to speak. I have on the bottom left, you know, I have my my Focusrite. I have a ring light there because sometimes
The light.
exactly, yeah, that's my Focusrite. And then I elevate my my computer, my laptop, to help cool it, so there is not that much fan noise going on. You see that little silver fan on the right hand side.
Right, let me move this here. Yeah.
On the bottom on the desk. Sometimes I put it on just in between takes, you know, because it is quite hot sometimes. And then you see my elevated iPad that I read my script from. And if you can actually see that, I am using iAnnotate a lot of times when I do long narration. I can mark my script up. If anybody does audiobooks, that's a really smart way of working on your script. And my headphones, of course. And then you see that big black bubble. That is what my microphone sits inside of in lieu of having a quiet room. And that's because I'm in the process of building really a booth in my apartment. So that's sort of like a transitional setup right there. But you see, I have an extension arm. So it's really helpful to like do whatever I need to do in a small space.
And you have your interface, I can see on the bottom left.
Exactly.
What program do you use?
I use Audacity because I learned on Audacity. It's a free program, and I've gotten really good at it. And the magic about Audacity, as far as I'm concerned, is that there are plugins that you can add onto the software that are also free, that will help you with effects and equalizing and normalizing. And you can actually find, if you do ACX audiobook narration, there's an ACX check plug-in that checks your audio tracks for the requirements of ACX. So when you upload it onto the platform, there's no bounce back that you didn't do the right parameters of whatever settings you need, for example.
Now, that's good to know, because I do Pro Tools, but I also have Audacity, and I have worked with both, and I love them. In fact, Audacity was my first one before my Pro Tools, and I found it incredibly friendly. That's a good option.
Yeah.
Okay, and what kind of mic do you have?
Ooh, it's a Shure PG42.
Okay.
Originally I had a USB mic, and I did a little bit of, quite a bit of work with that originally, but then I also got into dubbing work, and I needed a better quality mic, and I needed an interface that was working with their specifications. So I got a Focusrite single, the Scarlett, and I had the mic already. I had purchased a better mic a while ago. I had just never really worked with it, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Got it. Pablo, this is you. I think that mic is like the one that I have right now with me. Is it an AT2020?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's an Audio-Technica 2020. That's the one that I have. Personally, I don't consider myself, I think, an expert. I think I still have a lot to learn, but I've been learning a lot. Me and my wife, we grabbed a corner of our room, and what we did is we purchased some soundproof sheets from Amazon and hang them from the roof. So we created kind of this micro booth, and we set up a table, the microphone, the pop thing, and we put the computer there, and we've been recording there since, I believe, 2-3 months ago, that we set up this micro studio, and it's been working great. I mean, it's interesting because I decided to build this micro studio because I did an audition and I didn't have the studio yet, for a TV show on Netflix called La Valla. It's a Spanish series, and I got it, but they were like, okay, yeah, but we all have to record from home, and I didn't have like a studio yet. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to lose this job. I'm just going to invent something. So at that time, what I did was I literally grabbed my table kitchen and I flipped it upside down. I covered it completely with towels and with sheets from my bed and from the cover of my bed. And I literally put the computer and the mic inside my table, and
Wow.
I recorded the whole series below the table. And
I
it
love it.
had to be like Netflix quality. So it was like,
Amazing.
it was a challenge, but it was just like, I didn't want to give up on such a project, and I had to be creative. It was hard because it was so hot, like so hot inside my table with all the sheets. So that's when I decided, no, I need to build something, and we started building this, and it's been working great. I mean, at least if you're auditioning now, equipments, mics, and all those, there are so many, and they all have such good quality that you don't really have to spend $500 on a microphone, especially if you're starting as a voiceover talent. You might not want to spend that much money, because pretty much for auditions and for some certain projects, with a relatively short budget, you can pretty much set up a nice
That's
studio.
amazing. Yeah, I'm actually very surprised that they look at, because this is an USB microphone, and so you didn't have any interface. And normally, what they want is a better diaphragm phone. But so congratulations! I'm very happy to hear. This is Sylvain, only because we're running out of time. But Sylvain, he's like me. He has a closed studio like me, and I do the same. I set up the laptop outside.
Mm-hmm.
I did bring, you'll see mine in a moment, but there he is. And the close is the best thing to block noise. And you want to talk about your studio here, Sylvain?
Yeah. It's I use Audacity as a software. I have an interface. There's all in between. People are for or against USB microphones, and mostly the professional ones usually don't like. Well, they're better now than before, but they don't like usually a USB microphone
Mm-hmm.
for professional recording. So I have an interface. It's Yamaha AG03, and it's perfect for my needs. Very small. I can move it when I need. And inside, I have a microphone. It's a Blue Yeti Pro, and until now, I'm very happy of it. Of course, depending, and the sound is very good also in the closet, because of course all the clothes are absorbing all the noises, and but it's not totally soundproof. And mostly with the COVID, suddenly you can discover that, oh my God, I have neighbors, or there's a dog barking outside, or so you have to play with that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, so of course, and since COVID, now it's like everybody's running after voice acting, because a lot of actors suddenly are realizing, oh my God, I could do voice acting. But it's interesting because you need several hats to be a voice actor.
Right.
And it's not only about the voice, it's also about business. It's also about to be a technician, at least a little bit. And, and there's a curve there to learn. So, and I was thinking about what Catherine said earlier. And if you're starting from scratch, there are maybe two websites I would recommend because they're very good and they're there for training. One is GVAA. So, and they're there they have, for example, because there's a part business also in voice acting, and they have the best rate sheet in the market for voice actors to be paid fairly and to request what you deserve. And the other one, in fact, is from UK, and it's called a Gravy for the Brain.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're very nice. They have tons of videos. So you pay an amount for monthly, and you can have access to starting recording, voice acting. They're covering everything. And
Interesting.
they have also a rate sheet for all the different countries.
Wow.
So because one of the difficulty right now is to be paid fairly for the work that you're doing.
Right.
So
Thank you.
that's
Thank you.
another
Thank
part.
you. So this is mine. I've been working here for the past 13 years. And now I just added Source Connect. That's all. But I used to have a Mac, which was very quiet, and that's where my Pro Tool is. But because it's so old, it won't take my Source Connect. So I had to get another laptop, which is very loud. So I just as Sylvain, I put it outside, and I just have a screen that I bought for $12 at the Salvation Army. And that screen is right there, the one that you see. My mic is a professional, it's a blue. And then I also use an iPad to read from. And my interface is from Pro Tools, but it works with anything. It has for 2 different mics. So just so you know, I also got a keyboard and everything. So practically this screen, it's mirroring everything that is outside on the laptop. So I just wanted to share this with all of you guys so you can feel inspired to see that it's not hard to work from home and share, going back to Anwar, because now we are exceeding the hour. So let's go very brief. Anwar, tell us, what is it that now you don't have your studio? So when you have to send an audition, what is it what you do? And a brief, like 1 minute.
Okay.
And how is your experience in studios?
Sure. Well, first of all, I had a studio just kind of like very similar to yours and that of Sylvain. I basically had my microphone and like in the middle of basically, clothes and, hangers and this and that. So I just separated them. I used to throw like, because it wasn't like really a professional, let's say, booth or studio. And then, of course, as I said, with this COVID and this and that, my wife needed to use, the space, so I couldn't, use that anymore. That's why I don't have that anymore. But I have been, going to, as I said, some studios to do dubbing, but also looping. And as far as like, the safety, let's say, protocols that have been, taken place is that clearly you have to get tested a few days before you go into the studio, and they would clearly pay for that. And then you get you do your check-in outside of the studio. They take your temperature. You have to be wearing a mask, a shield if you have one. Maintain social distancing. And then, like within the studio, clearly everything is wiped down. Everything is cleaned very thoroughly. They have these like systems that basically filter the air hours before actors get in there. And let's see, you're isolated. You go into the studio on your own. You do your thing, and then it would take them either, let's say, I don't know, maybe an hour or to re-clean that studio, filter the air again for whoever is coming after you. So that's in general, that's what it is. For my auditions, I'm not gonna lie, many of these gigs that I have been getting, I have worked with these people before. So they would just have me like literally record myself on my USB microphone. I have one at home, and send that in. A few simply asked me to just give them an idea on my iPhone, email the file, and that's that really. That's all there is to it.
Right.
I don't know what else you wanted me to specify
that's
when
fantastic.
it comes to
So people know what measurements to take and
oh yeah, absolutely.
So guys, we have to go now. Pablo, I think this is the mic that you have. This one is the one that I have outside of my closed studio.
This is the one actually that
one that you have?
I had been using for my auditions.
That's good because they take into account that whatever you're using for your auditions, they assume that's the one that you're going to be using for your
Absolutely.
your recordings.
Yeah.
I don't use this for my recordings. I only use it here. I had it when I travel. This is what I would use, but for the most part, I use the blue mic. Guys, we have to go now. I really appreciate you're here. I know
Yeah,
it's
exactly. We want to stay.
I'd love for you to tell us where can you be found? Like actor slash, everything is actor slash on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just add actor slash. Make sure you have to double S in the middle. It's actors because it's in plural. One person cannot do anything, but as a group, we can do wonders. And the website is actor slash. And you can find me on vanhetapia.com. And also all my social media are vanhetapia.com. Anwar, where can you be found?
Sure, I can be found on IMDb clearly. If you have IMDb Pro also, you can find me there. But under my, the name that's on the screen. On Facebook, I'm under AH Director, all attached. And then on Instagram, under Anwar H. Smain, everything attached, of course. And that's where I am.
Catherine?
My website is katherinekanavoice.com. And, my first name is spelled a little bit differently. So just look on the screen, KatherineKana. And my Facebook is Katherine Hanna. And my Instagram is Katherine.Hanna. And my Twitter is also at Katherine Hanna. Super easy.
Thank you. Pablo?
My website, Azar Pablo, which is azarpablo.com. Then my Facebook, Pablo Azar Fans. And my Instagram is also Azar, Azar Pablo.
Sylvain, where can you be found?
I'm going to give you my website. So it's SYL voiceactor.com. So that's the easiest way to find me. Of course, I'm like everybody else, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, mostly in between my name. Or so I have a character called Mr. Tenderness, because this is the meaning of my last name. And so you can find me with this name too.
La Tendresse.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much. I hope we get to work together, hopefully. And if it's not for voiceover, for acting or whatever, and hopefully everybody will wear their masks so we stop spreading the freaking virus and we can go out again and hug each other. Be well, behave.
Yeah, hugs.
So guys, and if you can't behave, how is it, Justin? Be good at it. There's a saying in Spanish is easier. Like, se portan mal, pero se cuidan bien.
There you go.
So don't behave, but take care.
Vanhe, thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It was a
Thank you,
pleasure
Vanhe.
being with all of you.
Thank you, all of
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
so
for the
good.
thanks for the
Thank you
invite.
so much.
Bye-bye.
Take care too.
Be
Bye.
safe.
Bye bye.